Hey, this is Sasha, and thanks for joining me here for today's video. And today I have a special video for you, in which case I got a chance to get to know a special person over the last year and help them out in their trading journey. So Urska here is from Slovenia and had the chance of, dealing with penny stocks and swing trading. And then she went ahead and got some coaching with me. We worked together a little bit and I kind of pushed her towards some options. And that's what I'm going to share with you today, is just kind of chatting with her a little bit of what she's doing and how she's generating about a 32% return on her investment. To simplify the strategy, I'm going to just quickly go over it right now for you, simply because, doing things on the interview was a little bit tight. So ultimately she goes into the SPY right here. SPY goes around 40 days. And for those of you that sell premium, let's say she goes into the puts and goes in right around, a certain percentage amount. And then if things get in trouble, she can go ahead and either move those things. So let's say we go into around a 10, 11% or so, and then she can go ahead and move it or buy some puts against it. So for example, if you go ahead and sell a 13, and we'll do a vertical. She does more naked strategies, which she'll share with you here in just a second. And when you have kind of a strategy like this, and let's say you go ahead and sell 20 contracts here, if things do get in trouble, you could go ahead and move these, adjust these, close them out, or even buy some puts here further out. Let's say buy a single right here, and you can reduce kind of that exposure to where you can still make a certain profit right here. You can see here still a certain profit, but this T+0 line has flattened. So anyways, that's the baseline strategy. I'll let her kind of give you some more insight behind what she's doing, how her life has changed, and just kind of the journey, because I think learning a little bit more about the journey and just overall the process is that what many people struggle with. So stay tuned, enjoy this video, and learn from it. And I hope it encourages you and motivates you to progressing further.
Oh, okay. We'll do it.
Yeah, no problem. So thanks for joining me today. And today I have Urska Rubin. And we're going to chat a little bit more about her option trading strategies. And we're going to take a look at how she's generating about a 31% return on her investment selling put contracts on the S&P. So, hey, how are you?
Hey, I'm great.
So I wanted to take you on this show because you're actually looking to go on another show on the Tasty Trade and Tasty Works network. So, with all the coronavirus and everything like that, flying is a little bit of a struggle right now going into Chicago. And we've kind of worked a little bit over the last year dealing in some options. But I think it's the story that you have and just giving people who are new some insight, some clarity about option trading. Because what I get is a lot of people that they want to get into trading and they say it's a hoax or it's gambling, or they kind of look at it as you can't make money doing this. And that's what I wanted to share with them, is your personal story and kind of how you got into this, and just give them some clarity, because I think just having a different perspective is a good thing. And especially being a female, there's not a lot of female traders out there. So, so I want to start kind of with your background of kind of how you got into this. I mean, and how you got into trading overall. I know we briefly just chatted a little bit about this. So, do you mind sharing some insight of why did you even get into trading at all?
No problem. Well, as I told you before, initially I Googled how to make more money, right? Which is what a lot of people do. And I stumbled across a few ads about penny stock trading, Tim Sykes and stuff like that. And then I started looking into that. And I was like, well, that kind of does look like a hoax, And then I came across Warren Buffett and I read the Intelligent Investor book. And that's when I thought, well, long-term investing is the real deal. This is how you get rich. This is how you make real money, right? And then I was really into that for a while. I learned basics of accounting. I learned how to read quarterly reports and all that type of stuff. But then after a while, I realized, well, that's going to take a few decades for me to actually be successful, right? So I kind of combined the two and I came to swing trading. And I started with stocks, as you do. That was about, I think I started like maybe 8 years ago, 7 years ago. So it's been a minute. And I was really into that. I bought a lot of books. I have a whole library at home. And yeah, I was studying and I wasn't doing bad, but it wasn't what I wanted. It was not mechanical enough. I thought I had a strategy, which I really didn't. And so yeah, so then after 6 years maybe, then I finally contacted you because I was actually watching your videos on stock trading, and I feel like every time I watched a video, it kind of helped even with my stock trading, but I just wasn't the type to do it.
So
So I wanted to have something consistent and something that I'm really, let's say, something that I have real confidence in.
So what gravitated you towards the option side? Because I also deal with, the swing traders, some of the day traders, but eventually that's just kind of like what you had. You had that 7-year journey. You were doing, the penny stocks. And I think a lot of people start out that way. They maybe start with a small amount of capital. They think that cheaper stocks are good because they're cheap. You can invest them low and buy, sell them out at higher value. But, that 7-year journey, you gravitated from that penny stocks, then you went to swing trading, and then you got into options. But why did you switch into options? What kind of attracted you to the option side of things?
Well, you. Yeah, it wasn't like I gravitate organically, it was like avoid options, avoid options, avoid options. And then we had our first session and you said, you know what? Stock trading is nice, but this is how the big boys make money. And then you introduced me to options, and it was pretty much on from there. I started learning options. I binged watch a lot of videos on options. I learned the fundamentals in a matter of days. Yeah, and then I switched to options totally.
Okay. So I think your story is very interesting in the sense that, you're one of the few that, when we dealt with the coaching sessions, because I've had a chance now to work with you over the last year or so, and, you basically went out. I don't think you've even dealt with a lot of the courses. You went right into coaching and mentoring and boom. Why did you, because what a lot of people typically do in the industry, as far as learning, they go just like you did with the books on the swing trading. Why did you go ahead and do kind of the coaching side right away and not so much on the courses? Because you've dealt with the books earlier, but with the option side, you went a little bit different. And I'm really asking more because there's a lot of people out there that are struggling in order to learn or get to that next stage or get to the next level or even get to profitability. How is the coaching or mentoring different? Because I'm sure you've watched a lot of videos before, but then all of a sudden you went into the mentoring side or the one-on-one thing. How is that different than doing maybe videos or books?
I've read so many books, I watched so many videos with stock trading, and I feel like it takes such a long time, and you invest so much energy into something that a mentor tells you in a minute. It's a lot simpler, it's a lot easier. And I said, I'm not doing any courses now. I'm not just give me a one-on-one coaching session and I'll ask specifically what I have trouble with. And you just gave me the info right away. It was direct, it was more effective. And the courses they are great, don't get me wrong. They are great. And also the books and everything. But here it was, okay, I have a question. You give me the answer. It's straight up, and now I have that information, it's kind of like a shortcut in a way.
Yeah, that's what I find as well with the mentoring and the coaching students that I work with as well. Yeah. It's just, everybody, I guess, takes a different approach. So initially, what were some of the struggles that you went through with the option side? Because of course there's that barrier of, figuring things out. Maybe some things are a little more complicated. Some people have struggles with the Greeks. What were some of the initial problems? And you, of course, living in Slovenia there. The platforms and the trading and brokers also are a bit different, that there's just not as many out there as there are maybe in the US or other countries. So give me some insight on, going from that swing trading to the options world, how that transition was for you.
Well, the transition, I was really lucky to start off with a paper trading account. So I managed to lose all my money there. I lost all the virtual money. It wasn't real money. And the struggle was with Vega, because when you trade stocks, you don't care about the volatility. I mean, well, you do care, but you care like price wise, right? You don't have any Greeks except, well, you have Delta, but Vega really, it buried me quite a few times. I didn't really understand it. It took me quite a while to really grasp the whole concept of Vega and how important it really is, especially me being a net seller of options. That was one of the biggest struggles, learning how to manage Vega. That was the number one. Number two is, I'm only capable of, I can only use certain brokers, right? Because I'm in Slovenia. And the broker that I have at the moment, this platform it's created for stock traders, it's not created for option traders. So I have some problems with the analyzer tab. And the number three, which is, well, it's not a problem, but it's definitely very important, is to find your niche. First, when you get into something, especially something as complex as option trading, you have to find something, you have to specialize in certain strategies or what you're going to be trading. And that was definitely an issue, but I feel like I got over it quite quickly and found my strategy that kind of suits me and my personality and the way that I want to trade.
All right.
So these are three problems, and there's number four, which is, well, it's a lonely business.
Yeah, especially now with the virus and everybody's sitting at home and so on. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a little bit different. But let's get into the strategy. So what's your top go-to strategy? I mean, I mentioned that you sell naked puts mostly on the S&P. That's kind of what we've discussed and talked about. But give some more insight on maybe how do you choose your strikes, or how do you go ahead and pick something out? And maybe I'll go ahead and show on the platform if we'll kind of go through that as well. So give us some insight. Maybe some people are curious, what is it that you're doing on your core go-to strategy?
So, well, there is one thing. The only underlie that I ever use is the SPY. I don't use anything else. No TLT, no QQQ, no Apple, Amazon, nothing. Just SPY. I keep it simple. There's no earnings. There's no change in management or something, right? It's simple and it's plain, right? So my bread and butter strategy is selling naked puts.
Okay. So how far out do you go on those puts usually?
It can be anywhere between 30 to 45 days. Anywhere in that range. I tried some weeklies. I don't really like weeklies that much. I'd rather do something else with the weeklies. But so that's my bread and butter strategy. Now the delta really depends on the VIX, right? I kind of, I use a delta of anywhere from 5 to, let's say, 10, although I plan on pumping that up to 15 in the next year or so. So if the VIX is really low, I will be using a delta of 5. If the VIX is a bit higher, although that's very subjective, right? But if I think it's relatively high, then I will go with a delta of 10. But I am trading about 70% of my portfolio. A lot of times you hear people say, well, don't trade more than 50% of your portfolio. But the thing is, I know what I'm doing. I know which positions I'm going to take, what I'm going to do if things go against me. So that's my bread and butter strategy. Okay. I used to sell naked calls as well, but I figured those aren't really for me because, well the premium is paid for them.
Yeah, the premium is less. Okay, so let's say you go into a strategy like this, and you've kind of talked a little bit about your Vega problems, and especially selling the put side like this. you do have a lot of short vega, which can be a little bit of an issue. So give me some insight on how you manage maybe the vega or maybe the downside risk, because this has a lot of downside exposure, obviously, in conditions where the market is just ramping up on just even what we're doing right now on the S&P. What is it that you would do in terms of, as this goes against you, maybe to protect yourself, or maybe as a vega hedge? How do you think about this process, or what do you do to minimize risk? Do you take like half off? Do you take a third off? Do you buy any puts against it? What is it that you do to manage or minimize the risk?
There are a couple things that I do, and it really depends on the situation, and especially on the expiration date. So I like to keep a few diagonals in my portfolio. I buy those, and they have a decent positive vega, so I kind of compensate vega with that in the first place without even managing. So when my put gets in trouble, I'm making money on that diagonal, more than not. And the good thing about diagonal is that you can choose how positive your vega, how positive you want to be on the vega, right? By changing the expiration date of the back month contract, right, which you buy. So if I want to have on some decent positive vega positions, what I will do is I will sell the front month and then buy a back month option that is just way in time, right? So that will give me a very nice positive vega. But besides that, that's not really management, but so that you know that I make money on diagonals as I kind of lose money and get in trouble on the put side. So how I manage the put side is, well, I might roll down and out for a credit. I don't really like to sell calls against it, although sometimes I do, but I'm doing less and less of that because it's still negative vega, right? So diagonals are great. Sometimes what I will do is I will buy some puts, which is very effective and very simple. It's a very simple way of hedging. Obviously, they're also positive vega and negative delta, so that's great.
Yeah, I think it's a good strategy for a lot of people. Most people don't think about it because they look at, hey, I sold puts. Why do I want to buy puts? But all of a sudden, what happens is that risk profile picture. What people don't think about it, just as a little insight for everybody listening, is that if you're selling 20 at $1.26, and then you're buying a bunch of puts against it, even then it just helps protect you on any of that downside movement here, and it's just much more favorable for the protection. I show this kind of example on the verticals quite a bit, but maybe I'll put this up here in a second as you keep mentioning your risk strategy. But okay, so you don't really sell too much of the call side because of the premium, and really the big way is these diagonals to help minimize the delta in the vega.
I got burned on calls way too many times before, especially as I started trading in my real life account. Every time I sold a call, I had problems with it.
Like it's going up into the call, or
right, and the market tends to go up over time, right?
Right.
So it's although if you are kind of you're still negative vega, but at least vega works in your favor, I guess, if then the market shoots up.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Do you do any hedging at all with the VIX at all, or any other strategies beyond just the SPI, or are you just solely SPY?
Yeah, only SPY. Although sometimes I try with like different strategies. What I really like is placing something like an iron butterfly or something that is very negative vega if the VIX is really high. That's what I placed. I think I placed one about a month ago, and it's a very short duration. Usually it's maybe like a week or so, and I take it off after 3 days. It's quick money and it's easy and it's very capital efficient.
Okay, so you use those butterflies as a hedge or protection, or just for a movement directional bet?
That one was just plain profit taking, just for some quick cash. Although, as we discussed, I also kind of tweaked my strategy with hedging with an iron butterfly sometimes. Although there has to be certain conditions. I have to tick some boxes before I do that because it's also negative Vega. And what you're doing here is you're hedging a negative Vega position, which is a naked put, with an iron butterfly, which is also negative Vega. So in theory, that's really horrible, right? So I will only do it, and of course I leave that till expiration, right? Because otherwise it's sometimes hard to get out of it, especially as you say, when you have more of those on,
Yeah, especially if the market's tanking.
Right. So I would just leave that till expiration. I will put it on if my short put is in trouble and if it expires in the next 5 days or something, right? So that the iron butterfly does have negative Vega, but it's really small, right? And it's going to expire soon, and it's very capital efficient. And as I'm losing money on my naked put, I'm making money on my iron butterfly. So it's a great way of hedging, as far as I'm concerned. Maybe I'll tweak it a little bit in the future, but for now, it works really well.
Yeah, so it's always a trade-off. That's what I always mention to people as well. You have to balance out either your deltas or your Vegas or whatever you're doing. You mix it up, just like in the stock world. You have to mix it up in the option world, from the duration to the Vegas to the deltas and so on. How or what biggest thing would you say for kind of new people getting started? Maybe a few quick tips that you would say getting into the options world that you would mention or tell them, or maybe your younger self that you would say, hey, these are some things to watch out for. These are the things that can speed you up as far as learning goes, or this is what's helped me to go from, because for you, obviously it's not a short or quick journey, because that's what a lot of people think. I have some, you've actually spent 6-7 years doing the penny stocks, the swing trading, and a lot of the books before you even got into options. And then your 7th, 8th year, I would say coming into year 8 is where now you're getting that 30, 31, 32% return on your capital, which is fantastic. But what would you say are some of the maybe things to watch out for other people to watch out for, or give them some tips for starting this journey or things like that?
I would say, as I mentioned before, try to find your niche as soon as possible. Because I really wish, I can say me trading stocks for like 6 years and not really being where I want to be. I could say, okay, well, everything happens for a reason. But the reality is, I really wish I got into options sooner, maybe even the 2nd year, the 1st year, or the 1st month. So really find something that you think that makes sense and that you think that really suits me, that's really according to my personality. Number 2 is find a mentor. A lot of people say, well, I can learn on my own, which you can to an extent, but sooner or later you're gonna stump across something that needs someone else's brain, and 2 brain is definitely better than 1, especially when you're talking to somebody who has experience, right? Who has been coaching people and knows certain things that you're not even aware of, right? So, and especially for people getting into options world, I would say paper trade before you get into real life trading, because you're gonna lose money. And whether or not you paper trade, that depends if that money is gonna be virtual or if it's gonna be real. And I don't know about other people, but I'd much rather lose virtual money than real money.
Yeah, I would say so. Absolutely. I think having even, and sometimes a mentor can just be a trading buddy. And this is what I've been kind of doing lately with some of my mentoring folks, is that, you got to find someone that can think, 15 years ago when I kind of got into the world of trading, doing, again, penny stocks and all this kind of stuff, myself, we're all on dial-up. You can't do video things like this back in the day, but now it's makes it a lot easier. So I guess one of my final and last questions, is how has your life changed with the world of trading? Or, you've already been doing it for a while, but how has it changed now that when you saw the profitability? Because that first 7 years, you're like, it's not working. This isn't working. How has it changed from going from maybe, where things are tough, where it's not working, not working, not working. It's like getting rejected all the time to finally making it work. And how did you push through that? And then how has your life changed getting over that hurdle? Maybe in your personal life as well, you know, just overall.
Right, right. Well, my personal life has changed in a way that I'm more confident, because one of the worst things is knowing that you're not where you want to be, but at the same time putting in all the effort that you can. You know, you're putting in more effort, you're studying, you're doing everything you can do, and you're still not where you are, right? So now with options, I feel like finally I'm doing something that's profitable, and that, you know, that is getting me where I want to go. You know, I look at my profit curve, you know, my performance graph and on my broker's side, and I'm actually very content and satisfied with myself, you know. So to put it frankly, how my life has changed, well, more money and everything that
Well,
comes
now you're
with
going
it.
to vacation on Africa and all these
Oh
other
yeah, exactly. I'm
places.
able to make travel plans. You know, it's really nice, and it's the type of income that you know, where you can live a comfortable life in my country.
Oh, there you go. Well, I want to thank you so much for joining me today, taking some time out of your day. I hope
Thank you for
these,
having me.
yeah, absolutely. It's been a pleasure, you know, working with you over the last year. And, you know, hopefully you can come back, and I'd love it if you even maybe taught some of the people, or work with some people, maybe do a live session eventually.
Absolutely.
Because I think even though sometimes when I'm teaching and working on video, I find that having a different voice, having somebody else share their own perspective can hit people in a whole different way, because it just, the different words, the different language used can make more sense. So definitely, it's a pleasure speaking with you, working with you, and thank you so much for you know, sharing your story and insight.
Yeah, you're very welcome.
All right, so there you go. I hope you enjoyed the video and got some out of it. If you have any specific questions, feel free to write them in the comments or email me directly, and I can pass them on to Urska, and maybe she'll go ahead and answer them, or maybe we'll just do a follow-up session sometime in the future if you're interested to seeing another follow-up video. Other than that, if you'd like to get a little more insight about coaching and mentoring, then check out our website here at tradersfly.com, and you can head on over to the coaching section over here and check out any single sessions or even mentoring right here for the individual. All right, so thanks for watching. Feel free to grab a few different freebies right here by clicking the link, subscribe to the YouTube channel, or just continue watching some more great YouTube videos. Thanks again, and I will see you next time.